Hi. So in this video, I want to specifically look at how to build your confidence as a parent of a child with special needs, specifically in the area of education. Now, I did make a video where I talk about the medical field, the community, the nurses, the doctors, the therapists, and how to build your confidence as a parent when dealing with all of that stuff. And that video is going to be in the description box below as well up here. But this video is specifically about education. Now, I am a former public and private school teacher, and now I am a homeschool mom of 4 wonderful kids. The youngest has Down syndrome. And I understand from an educational perspective as well as a parenting perspective what all of this is like. Now, a lot of us, when we are posed with the question whether or not we are going to send our kids to private school, public school, or homeschool, sometimes it's a really easy decision to make. Sometimes we feel like we made the wrong decision, or sometimes we want to go one direction, but we're guilt-tripped into going a different direction. The first thing I'm always going to say when it comes to this is to pray about it, speak with your spouse about it, come together in prayer, just take some time and make sure the decision that you make is the right decision. If you're thinking about homeschooling at all, you should try it. And just not public schooling at home, like we did during that whole pandemic, but actually homeschooling your kids to meet the needs that they need met for them, not for another kid in public school. Now, for many parents may decide that public and private school is the correct route for them to take. In that case, there is a struggle, an internal struggle with that confidence, because now you are trusting someone else with your child. Now, I know it is kind of a social norm to send your child to public school, so it's a little bit easier when you have a teacher or special education teacher helping you, guide you with their education. It's easier to take advice from them, but sometimes it's not. And we have to kind of work with our decisions that we make. We also have to understand there is always that option of changing out the teachers, changing out the schools, or even homeschooling ourselves. So as the parents, we ultimately do have control. Now, as parents that have decided to homeschool, congratulations. It's a journey. It's like a really big journey. Now, we homeschool my daughter with Down syndrome. And every day I am not only her parent, but I am her coach. I am her teacher. I am her chef. I am her physical therapist. I am the person that assists her pretty much everywhere we go. And her brothers and sisters help too, and dad, obviously. But we do it all. And when it comes to finding curriculum, when it comes to not feeling like I'm the only one doing this, sometimes you feel completely isolated. Sometimes you feel like you're the only one doing it in your group. I remember there was one day that I took my kids to have a play date at the park. And you know what? I've had my babies. My kids are now 6 and up, right? I'm pretty sure we're done having babies. But I remember that all of my friends that had 6-year-olds, they were in the corner talking and socializing together, and I was not. I was following Naomi around the playground and chasing her and helping her climb and do all the things that you usually do with toddlers, but then they grow old enough where they don't need that help. She still needed help. And I felt alone. I felt like I was the only one. I felt like nobody really cared. I wanted so badly to go and socialize with my friends. I wanted so badly for one of them to come over and hang out with me as I walk Naomi through the jungle gym at the playground, which has happened quite frequently. But, none of that happened. And I felt very isolated. And even when you gather together with other parents that have children with disabilities, sometimes they're also so busy with their kids in the moment, and you too, that you don't get to have that one-on-one time with them. And that's why I personally, as a side note, love having social media, because social media gets us a chance where we don't have to leave our house, where we don't have to, escape somewhere, separate from our child, to talk to people that are in the same boat as us, as humans. We can text, we can Marco Polo, we can watch YouTube videos, we can comment, we can realize that we have a community, even though it's like another dimension. I always think of like my phone and social media as like this bottomless other dimension, and it feels that way too, because it's not like, meeting up with actual people. It's in this little like this phone thing. But back to what I was saying before, it is a struggle. It's a struggle to escape, to be with your friends in person. It's a struggle to find a babysitter. I mean, how many babysitters out there can really help a child with a disability or special needs, or understand all the facets that go along with this? Sometimes we have to hang on to the truth, to the blessings, to the words that the Lord gives us through His Word. And you know what, guys? Take this moment and comment down below if you have any of those stories, like little blessings here and there, or scripture verses, or things that just make you realize you're not alone. Now, there is always the issue of curriculum. That's huge, because not every single thing out there offers curriculum specifically for kids with special needs and disabilities. There is more. There are a lot more things that are out there. I know that IEW is now really looking into helping kids that have, dyslexia and dysgraphia, because they know that kind of stuff. They're familiar with it. Time for Learning has curriculum that is available to help out with kids that have autism and Down syndrome. And there are people out there that can come alongside you, that can counsel and coach you, parents that have had children, and if you can find them, you will find them, because the Lord will lead. But talking to a parent that has raised a child with a disability. I know for us, having a child with Down syndrome, I found a Facebook group and I was able to ask lots of questions, which led me to this wonderful curriculum called So Happy to Learn, which is led by a lady who specifically has geared her curriculum to children with Down syndrome. And that is huge, right? The other thing we have to remember as parents with special needs when it comes to practical things, that as we homeschool our kids, some of these nationally normed standards don't always pertain to our children. Our kids are not gonna, if they're 13, they're not gonna be on the same benchmarks as other 13-year-olds. It's just not gonna happen. Now, there are some people that are gonna be above, you'll find people that are on the high end of the spectrum that are gonna be way above academically. There's challenges there too. There are a lot of challenges there too. So comparing your kids, not a good idea. Also knowing that looking at the benchmarks and the school system and those kind of things aren't necessarily a good measuring stick to hold up against your family and your child. I know in the state of Florida, for example, we homeschool, and when it is checked, the portfolio is checked by the evaluator. All they're checking to see is that there's improvements. And if that means that your child can now say 2 more words, that's an improvement. If they can write a little more nicer, that's an improvement. They may not be able to write perfectly, but they can write nicer. That's an improvement. The fact that you have read them more books, that's an improvement, because we know they have more knowledge now. Now, with all that being said, I hope that it helps you understand that you are not alone, that you are not by yourself in this journey. There are others out there that have laid the path down right before you. But here's another food for thoughts. God is ultimately the one in control. You're not going to be perfect at everything you do. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to pick the wrong therapist. You're going to pick the wrong curriculum. A lot of it will be trial and error. There will be days where you want to pull out your hair, scream at the top of your lungs. There are days that your kid is going to kick you so hard. You're going to have bruises for weeks, and you're going to use a lot of makeup to cover it up maybe. I don't know. Hey, bruises are a thing when you have a child with special needs. That is where sometimes I wear long sleeves. I'm just throwing that out there. It's a reality, okay? But with all these mistakes and all these things are just the ugly side, knowing there is a God that's in control and that He is perfect and He's got everything in His hands and He's walking this journey right in front of you so that you don't have anything to fear or anything to worry. He is the one that has redeemed you. He is the one that has saved you. He is the one that is guiding you and directing you. He is the one that allowed everything for this to happen. He knows you having a child with special needs is not a surprise for Him. So it's never a surprise for Him when you run into problems with medication, doctors, therapists, education, all these little areas, he's going to still provide. He's going to provide because he already knew it was going to happen. So instead of trying to find confidence within ourselves, why don't we just put our confidence in him? Especially on those days. Especially on those days where we want to sit in a corner and cry. Or scream. Or just, there's a lot of those days. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it encouraged you. If you're more interested in learning about some of these curriculums that I mentioned, so happy to learn. Oh, I didn't even mention Handwriting Without Tears. IEW is another one that I mentioned. I didn't mention this, but Life Without Fred is a really good math curriculum. If you want to learn about some of these, I do have videos scattered through my channel. I do a lot on IEW. I also show you how I am teaching my daughter with Down syndrome with the things that we're using, like So Happy to Learn Handwriting Without Tears. So you can also watch that video. I'm going to try to stick most of these in the description box below as well as at the end of the video. But thank you again, guys, for watching. Don't forget to give me a like, subscribe, leave me some comments. Love those comments. So love talking with you guys and hearing your opinion and thoughts on this subject. So thank you so much, and I hope this has been encouraging. Bye.